I'm going to try. I want to try something I've never done before. I've done a few of these trainings, a few live calls, but we're an hour and 25 minutes in. I have this idea. So we're going to do something. This is a preview. I did not plan to do this, but I'm going to, because I love testing ideas out.
Hey, Launch family. Today's episode is a bonus episode that is a peek behind the curtain of the Launch Masterclass. Jeff and Dan went live and started answering all of these burning launch questions, and it is jam-packed with huge amounts of value. So throughout this week, because it is bonus week, we figured we would drop this out on the feed here for you. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about what's going on inside the masterclass, go to getyouLaunched.com and sign up today. It's still going on until Thursday. So thanks for listening. And here's today's Q&A with Jeff and Dan.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first of all, we got to bring the star of the show in here. Everybody, Mr. Jeff Walker.
Hey everyone, how are you all doing? It's so exciting to be here. And yeah, maybe I'm the star of the chat, or the star of the show, but Dan is as well. For those of you who've been around our campus for a while, you know that Dan has been at this with me for 15 years. He's been through more launches, more million-dollar launches and multi-million-dollar launches than anyone in the industry other than me. So he's going to be helping me be my co-host, but I'm sure he'll be jumping in and giving some answers as well. And I'm pumped up. We do this once a year, Launch Masterclass. We have been doing this for 20 years. Almost. October 21st will be 20 years, the 20-year anniversary of Product Launch Formula. There's no other training on online business in the world that's been around for 20 years and continually updated. So obviously it's changed radically. We update it every single year and sometimes more often. And it's really a coaching program. So it's not just like some course. You get coached all the way through your launch. But there's nothing else that's been out there for 20 years. So I'm really pumped up, and I'm pumped up about this moment in time and why it's more critical now than ever. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I just want to address one thing. And that was that question that Dan answered right away. Someone said, is this going to be recorded? And what it means when someone asks that in the first 30 seconds is they're asking, will it be recorded? Because I'm going to just drop off if it is recorded, and I'll check out the recording. But what happens what's the normal path when someone says, it's being recorded, I'm going to drop off and check out the recording? What happens then? I'm going to just ask this in the chat. What do you guys think? What do you guys think that happens? What do you think? Yeah, that's right. They don't watch it later on. They don't. That's there's all kinds of stuff you said, I'm going to check out the recording, but you never do. At least I never do. I think most people don't. So don't, please we're here. We got about an hour, 54 minutes, and we're just going to dive in and get your questions answered, but more like really check in with where you're at and what you need at this point in the Launch Masterclass, because I still have time to adapt it. And then I've got opinions on what I think most of y'all need based on the questions I see coming in and based on I've been living this for 20 years now. So Dan, I'm pumped up. We're talking about this. I'm jacked up. We got a crazy time right now. We have, does the world feel like someone just put it at 1.5 speed all of a sudden? You know how you can, when you listen to the podcast, you can put it at 1.5 or 2.0 or 3.0 and listen to it really fast. For you out there, does it feel like someone just hit the 1.5 speed on the world? I mean, it's like politics feels a little crazy around the world. The economics feel a little crazy around the world. Here in the US, we're not in recession, but it sure feels a little tenuous, doesn't it? I mean, inflation, interest rates, just job losses. I mean, it just feels it feels a little, just a little nuts right now. And oh, by the way, we have this thing, AI. Maybe that's why everything feels like it's speeding up in such a crazy way, but AI is just shifting the ground under our feet as we speak. And it's AI is something that I was deep into in the 1990s. I spent thousands of hours with it in the 90s. And as a team, we've leaned deep into it for our product launch formula owners starting 2 years ago. We've gone really deep, but it's just shifting so many things. And I think so now I've been talking about this for a while, that like the ultimate security is is having your own business, is being able to write your own paycheck. It's have your own economy. That's what I think. It's like I've got my own economy, and the people, if you've got your own business, you've got your own economy. And I think the ultimate security is having that business, having the ability to create value in the world, show people that value, and have them give you money for that value. I think that's the ultimate security. And I think that there's never been a time where that's more important than now. I think we're going to look back at this as one of the most pivotal times maybe in our lifetimes. Certainly COVID was a crazy pivotal time, and I think it's just accelerated since then. And I've been doing product launch formula for 20 years, and I've never really said those words because it feels like every moment is special, every time's different. But right now, it's like I think the people that jump in and seize this moment, it's going to pay off for them, just because the way that the digital world is, in that it rewards the winners. It rewards the people. I don't like this about the current world. I really don't. But the reality is, it's like the rich get richer. That's what it seems like it's happening more now than ever. And just let's take away I don't, rich is a loaded term, and there's a lot of emotional stuff around it. But I think that idea of the winners, once you get on that winning bandwagon, it's easier to stay there. And this goes if you're just starting out, but also if you have a current business right now, you got to lean in. And that means making your marketing better and your messaging better, and being able to convert your offers. So this is my little preamble rant, but this is a moment in time. And that's why I love that the masterclass is happening right now. We only do this once a year. So thank you for being here with us live. And it's exciting, and it's this is important work we're doing. So I'm looking forward to leaning in with you.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, so lesson 1 dropped a couple days ago, sideways sales letter, classic. Tomorrow, lesson 2 is dropping. Yeah, look at that. This is the peak of tech here.
I tell you, folks,
Look at that. AI is just making it look like you're holding up a note card just right in front of you.
It's like AI, make an image of me holding a note card. Yeah, this is sometimes like here's the behind the scenes. This Launch Masterclass, we're going to teach our hearts out. My whole team, we're showing up for you, but we're doing what we're teaching. We're doing a launch. Right. And sometimes people get caught up in the technology of you got to be super fancy, because, if you watched our first lesson, there's some pretty nice looking videos, right? They were fancy videos. We had B-roll. I mean, it looks pretty solid, right? And sometimes you might look at it and say, oh, I could never do that. Well, right now this is the technology is, a few minutes ago, I had index cards and I had a marker, and here's the technology, and I'm talking into my laptop, and Dan's talking into his laptop. So it doesn't have to be fancy, folks. It doesn't have to.
Not at all. I'm even seeing a lot of questions about that. Here's one from Christina. Christina, first time here. She's coming from the Reconnected. Awesome. And saying, went all in on the content. Christina's wondering, does she need to get her website done before she can be thinking about this, or should she just jump straight into launching?
Yeah, jump straight into launching. It is easy to get caught up in doing things that are not important. Like when you're starting a business,
Mhm.
I'm assuming you're just starting out, and or maybe you have a practice, maybe you've got clients that you work with in person or whatever like that. And it's easy to worry about, like, should I do an LLC or a corporation or whatever? Do I need to get an accountant? Do I need to get a lawyer? Do I need a logo? Do I need a name? What kind of branding, website? I mean, how much time could you spend putting together a website? You really don't need to. And usually the quickest answer is the best, especially when you're starting out. It's easy to lose momentum. It's hard to gain momentum. It's hard, but once you have it, you can hold on to it. But it's easy to throw up roadblocks in that momentum, right? I mean, Dan, you've got a pretty good rant on this about. I've heard you because you're so good at this. I'm just like, pick one. You just pick one. Like,
Yeah, man. I think it's like it's funny because when you're saying that, it's almost like I think it's interesting too because there's so many of these things are stuff where like if you just tell your friends, you're just out like, having dinner, having some drinks or whatever, having coffee with your friends and like you're like, I'm starting a business. And they're almost the first things that people traditionally like think you need, like a website and a logo and all this stuff. And it's like all that it's like the least important stuff, right? Like we've seen people do pretty incredible launches, like for pretty significant businesses, I'd say well into the six figures. And if you were to scroll down to the bottom of their page, it still has that little watermark that says like, this site provided for free by Wix.com. Like click here to sign up. Like the reality is you don't need anything other than how you're going to directly communicate with your people. Ideally, that's having an email list, but a social following is a great thing too. An in-person following, bunch of Facebook friends can be a great start. And like the way I think about this is like get to $1. Like figure out if there are people out there who are willing to pay you for your idea and then worry about all that stuff to like make it, look extra legit. It's like it how do you take payments? Well, an easy way, like Stripe. There you go. You can just go sign up for an account. Doesn't cost anything. Like how to get, how to get an email software. Like you can just Google, like, free email list host. Boom, just sign up for the first one. Like I usually think that like just picking the fastest option is going to be the best if you're started out. Pick the option that just clears a roadblock. Doesn't, if there's an option where you can just click a button and sign up for something and now you're done, like great. Like let's focus on the important stuff here.
yeah. There's so many good comments flying by. You guys are awesome. I love it. I saw one from, I think it was Randy. It went by so fast, I can't find it anymore. But he said, I build websites for a living and I'm getting someone else to build this website because it's so important to, I think if it's Randy, I'm paraphrasing you because I don't have the comment in front of me, but he said, I build websites for a living, but this is so important. I need to get it done fast. I'm paying someone else to do it.
Yeah.
I love that. There's another one. Can I use PL? So here's what I just don't understand. Do you address product launches separately in your program? The program, this is all about product launches. That's the only thing we focus on. There's another question about, can you still see lesson one? Just go to the main Launch Masterclass page and you can see lesson one and you'll be able to see that going forward. Can you get one-on-one clients? Absolutely. More one-on-one clients? Absolutely. I mean, this is perfect for that. The only problem is you might end up with too many clients if you do this launch, but yeah, it'll absolutely work for that.
Nice. Let's see. Man, they're scrolling by so fast. I'm trying to read the comments and also see.
Oh, Dan, here's one from Natalie. I heard about you from Reconnected. So Emma and Eleanor, dear friends and just amazing, amazing people. But they're also really tied into Formula Botanica. Lorraine, who is also an amazing person. In fact, all three of them have sat at this table where I'm at with me. Love all three of those folks. Yeah.
I'm seeing one here. This is kind of fun. This is from Cecile, I think. Cecile's saying, I own a yarn store in Denmark. I want to launch a product that seems a little, maybe kind of small. It's buttons. But she says it's in demand by her community, matches her main product. Is it too small to make a big launch out of it? It occasionally seems a bit silly to try it out in a launch situation. Well, I'm going to say, you know what? I know on this call right now, we have Amy Small, who has completely just grown her yarn business in a crazy way with product launch formula. And I would say, like, does it seem small? Like, no, I don't think so. Is it going to be something that, matters to the people who are getting it? Like, it's in demand. They want it. It's not going to seem like a small thing to them, like when the buttons show up and it's the perfect little thing that they're excited about receiving in the mail. Like, I don't think that seems like a small thing at all, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. I see a question from Rick. What do you think of Matt Parr's strategy, which uses a series of shorter YouTube videos to lead into a longer sales video? Similar in some ways to the Sideways Sales Letter, yet it seems it can also lend itself more towards more evergreen availability. So I don't know Matt. I don't know Matt whatsoever, but I guarantee you he knows me and he knows my work. If that's the strategy he's using, he's either learned it from me or he's learned it from someone who learned it from me. Yes, you absolutely can do it. Product launch formula in an evergreen process. We actually teach how to do it in an evergreen process. There are some subtle differences, and generally the conversions can be a little bit lower. It's something we practice all the time. Like we turn it on and turn it off. We test it because, well, we're in the business of teaching it, so we need to build experience with it. So what we're doing right now, 100% live, and in a few days, I'm going to make an offer for the best product launch formula ever, and it'll be an offer that you can only get during this Launch Masterclass. But in this, one of the great things about doing it live, but evergreen absolutely does work, and it's just great for smoothing out your revenue.
Ooh, here's another one about launch types. This is a good one. This is an appropriate one given the moment in time. What is the best approach if I don't have any followers and no email list? Got an offer ready. What should I do first? I think what you should do first is open the email that's going to hit your inbox at like 6 a.m. tomorrow morning with lesson 2, because we're going to be talking about the seed launch. And the seed launch is literally for your exact situation. Like you don't have to be in that exact situation with no followers and no list. Like it works great too. Like we did a seed launch a month or so ago, so you can do it if you have an established business. It's a great idea if you have an established business, but it's really just so perfect if you don't have any followers, you don't have any email list, and also if you don't have a product even. And it's great because you can launch, and the process of launching, you actually build all 3 of those things through the process.
Yeah. It's also, if you have a small following, it's even better. Ideally, we all have, we all need to build a following. We all need to build a list but we all start with 0. At some point, all of us have 0 people in our community or in our audience or on our list.
Yeah.
And like Dan said, that seed launch, which again, we're going to teach about in lesson 2, which comes out tomorrow, is that you get paid before you actually create the product. You do your launch, you get paid, you get your first few clients. And generally, it's not about making $1 million. It's not about having this insane success dollar-wise, but it's about getting those first few clients and building a great product. And then from there, you're in the game, you're in the business. When I first started teaching how to do product launches, I had about 8 or 9 years of doing product launches, and I was really good at it, but I'd never taught it. So I had an abrupt change in business. My partner of my prior business stole the business from me, literally like one day. I just no longer had that business anymore. And, many of you have been through bad partnership breakups, and I'm not the only one with that story, but that happened. And I was like, and that business was about in a different niche. It was all about the stock market. And I'm like, I want to start teaching marketing. I want to start teaching launches but I don't know how to teach it. I know how to do it. I don't know how to teach it. So I did a seed launch, got 6 people that joined me. 6 people bought from me, which isn't really all that impressive to get 6 sales. It's not nothing, but it's not super impressive. But those 6 sales allowed me to build the initial product and have it be amazing, because I had the interaction with people, because I was teaching it live, and also brought in money when I needed money because my prior business has gone away. And then that just led to success after success after success. And it's now grown into what we have here. And I've done over $100 million in sales in this business with this brand, all based off those initial 6 sales. So I don't want any of you to ever estimate where you're starting and where you could go. Maybe it's just buttons and it feels too small. Well, when I did my very, very first business, it felt impossibly small. And you just never know where you're going to end up if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you execute.
Love it. Love it. Here's one. This one's come up a couple times. I think this came up in some of the questions on the overall homepage too. Sarah's saying, I think this seems like the seed launch, and really say launches in general, revolve around using video. Can a launch be successful without video being part of the launch?
Yes, it absolutely can be. Video it's a tool. It's a really cool tool for some of us, because a lot of us, writing doesn't come to us naturally. And but most all of us can speak. And so video is a tool, but it's not the only tool. You can use, I've done launches just with email. I've done launches just with live broadcasts like we're doing now. I've done launches just with video. Those are just tools. Those are tools that you apply the launch strategies to. So yeah, you don't have to be on video. You could do just screen capture. So you're just showing slides. It's enormously flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, if you do want to use video, and I mean, really, I think the answer is like, again, just do whatever's going to be easiest. Like, if you're like, yep, I'm a great writer, I have no problem writing all this stuff, like, cool, that could be a great approach. But for most people, flipping on the camera and shooting a video, usually a little bit easier. Some people find going live is a little bit easier. Like, we have people who have built their audience and done their first launches just literally off of what was it, Facebook or Instagram lives that we had, that Anne La Follette was talking about doing that. It's one of our great case study. I think we already shared that one actually. So I don't know. It's kind of whatever medium is going to hold you back the least, or whatever medium is going to let you get your message out in the best way. And like, if you're doing videos, they don't have to be super fancy professional videos like what we have too. You could just literally like, just do it on your phone, like just selfie style, talking to it, just talking to, I mean, at the end of the day here, like, you are talking with people who are passionate about the thing that you're sharing, right? Like, if you're sharing about these buttons that you're going to be using with your handmade creations with yarn, you're only speaking to the people who love that stuff, the people who care about that stuff, and the people who are coming to hear you talk about it. And to me, I think that just opens up a whole different, it's just a totally different thing. When you think about, I am talking about something that I'm passionate about, and I'm only talking to other people who are also passionate about that, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be perfect. Just whatever lets you bring that passion through.
Yeah, there's just a question that you just answered. Speak to those of us who are impossibly introverted and don't want to show our faces. First of all, I am totally an introvert, like so many people who end up in this role. So, I'm like the person, when I go to a party, my only goal is to find one person that I like know. And then I do everything. I become the most charming person in the world to that one person. So I don't have to go talk to anyone else. And they'll be like, after 30 minutes, they're like, oh, I shouldn't hog your time. I should go talk to, I'm like, no, you should hog my time. So that's who I am. So I feel for the introverts, but like what Dan just spoke to, you don't have to be on camera. But at the end of the day, when you do this, you're just talking to the people that are really interested. Like, we all have things we're interested in. Like I could talk, if you want to talk like wilderness river trips, I mean, don't get me started. I'll go forever. Want to talk to me about mountain biking? I'll go. Talk about skiing? Yeah, I'll go forever. And actually talk to me about putting together really cool offers that convert. Yeah, I can talk for. When you do this, you're only talking to people that are interested in your topic and interested in you. And no, you don't have to show your face. You could do it all via audio if you want. All of it, you get to make up the rules. That's the great thing about this. But I think what you'll find is when you do this right, when you do the launch right, you can get the right clients. They're people you want to interact with.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I think about that. Like, dude, you go find the one person at the party. I'm like, I'm gonna go find the dog, the cat. I'm gonna go hang out with the dog or the cat. Like, they don't get up and leave. Like, but there's also something kind of cool when you realize that like you you're talking to the camera, doing that, you can do that alone in your house, your studio, or whatever. You hit publish, and then you turn it off. You put the phone down, you close the browser, and it's like, cool. There you go. You put your message out there. You don't even need to really look at the response if it's something that's freaking you out.
Right.
Like you can just put your message out there and then you're done.
So Dan, I want to move on from this topic about like, I don't want to be on camera, but there's just one thing here I just saw. I'm just going to be real quick. Is it preferable to make me the visible expert that is on camera or create a third person, we, in print? People don't buy from we, they buy from people. If you want to, you want to avoid that airline speak. You know how they make those announcements when you're on the plane and they talk in like the third person? It's bullshit. No one connects with that. And in this world is about connection. And ever more so, it's about connection because there's so little connection happening right now, especially with AI. Right? So don't ever go to the we land. If you don't want to be on camera, you can figure that out. We can help you figure that out. It's totally possible, but don't ever go to the we land. Do your best. Sometimes you'll actually see it creep into my emails because we literally are a we. When we roll out, you'll see when we roll out the Product Launch Formula coaching program, it's not just me. I've got an entire team. It's me, it's Dan. I've got a team of coaches. We've built up this big business. You don't have to do business like I'm doing it, but we got a big mission. So we've built up this significant team. So sometimes it creeps in because it really is we. Like when I just did it right there. When we roll out the Product Launch Formula coaching program, and when I roll it out, it's hard for me to say I anymore because my whole team is behind this, but we will offer coaching calls. And you'll get coaching calls if you join Product Launch Formula for a full year. And when on those coaching calls, it's like the first month, we'll have 6 coaches on those calls just to answer as many questions as possible. So it is a we. So we do but yeah, in your copy, go with the first person. They connect with you. They don't connect with we. No one cares about we. So, okay,
and I think that's just becoming ever more true, like literally by the day. Like if you think about, I don't know, pretty much anything that you could learn online or that you could buy online, like how many different people are going to be offering that? How many different people could you buy yarn from? How many people could you learn to build a business from? How many people could you, learn how to build a shed from? Like the answer is like almost infinite, right? So the fact that you are just providing something, whether it's information or art or a book or a physical product, the fact that you have something for sale or something to provide, that's not special. And way too many people act like that's the thing that just sets them apart, is that they have this thing. It's like, no, the thing that sets you apart is your approach, your unique approach to it. Because when things become commoditized and when there's just an endless array of options, people are ever more going to be searching out somebody that they really resonate with, somebody that feels like, oh yeah, like I see, like Jeff's a lot like me. like, yeah, I could learn how to build a business from anybody, but I want to do it the way that Jeff does. So much more powerful, so much more powerful. So whenever I see any sort of question that boils down to eventually, like, should I try to be professional or should I try to be authentic? Authentic wins every time, in my book.
Yeah. Here's
Okay,
one.
moving on.
Here's one, Dan. I'm an artist and my medium is slow. This is from Jessica. So I can't really show/do it live. The idea of having live elements like Q&A is not really appealing to me since I would like to really think before I answer something. Is it necessary to have a live element to have a successful launch?
Nope.
No. The great thing about business and about this formula in particular is you get to make up the rules. I'm going to show you the tactics. I'm going to show you the strategies. I'm going to show you the tools, the sequences, the stories, the mental triggers, all of it. But there's enormous flexibility. So it's product launch formula. So there is a formula, but there's enormous flexibility. So you don't have to do live elements. I've done many launches with 0 live elements. Now, I do like mixing. These days, my favorite is to mix them up. So lesson 1, all videos. We could be super tight, super succinct in those videos, and they just fly by, right? Tomorrow, lesson 2, video. But here we are, Q&A. We're doing live. So I love mixing up. And you know what? On Sunday, here we go. Lesson 3, Sunday. Lesson 3 is live. That's on the 24th of August, Sunday at the same time, which will be 4 p.m. Eastern US time. So why are we going live on Sunday with lesson 3? Well, lesson 1, all about the sideways sales letter, and it's all about the core of the formula. Lesson 2, 3 types of launches. Both of those super important, but they're setting up the open cart. And the open cart is where when I say cart, that means shopping cart. That's when you start taking orders. And that's like the most critical part. And lesson 3 is the most critical lesson. So I'm doing it live because I can be most impactful. I can be more passionate live. I can react in the moment to your questions live. And live just has an energy that moves people. So I hold it back for that broadcast. When I need the biggest impact, then I'm going live. So no one has to go live ever. No one has to do video ever, right? There's enormous flexibility, but I'm just like pulling out every tool and every weapon I have because I need to move you. Now is the time. Now is the time to launch. I believe more than ever, now is the time. So it's like, what's every little tool at my disposal I can use? So I'm using video, I'm doing live Q&A, and then on Sunday, the most important lesson, show up on that day because it's the most important lesson. And, little hint, I'm actually going to have a preview, an early bird special for the best PLF ever. And the only way you can possibly, lesson 3's where you can learn about how you can get the best PLF ever. So, yeah, I really went on a bit of a rant.
That's okay. That's what we're here for.
But yeah, short answer, you don't have to do live if you don't want to. You don't have to do video if you don't want to. Okay, there's lots of questions here.
This one's kind of fun. I see 2 questions next to each other that are dramatically different and also the same. So we've got Brian, who says, I have 1.5 million followers on Facebook, no email list. What's the best launch for me? Brian, I think 95% chance seed launch is going to be just beautiful for you. Everything you want. And then Carrie's saying, I'm a life coach and I have a small email list, 500 people, but I've been quiet for a couple of years and now have a little bit of a different message for them, how to work around them. Carrie, I think a seed launch is also going to be ideal for you. A seed launch, like if you have any level of a following already and you're looking to put something out, a seed launch is just going to be absolutely brilliant for you. So tomorrow morning, lessons dropping on that full lesson on how to do the seed launch.
Hey, Dan, I just saw a question from Amy Small. who
Hey,
is
what's up,
asking a
Amy?
question for one of her people. Yeah, hey, Amy. So Amy's one of the stars in our community. She teaches knitting. She sells custom yarn and then does knit-alongs so people can create these amazing sweaters. She's seven-figure business. Amy, I hope it's okay if I say that. Started
Yeah,
from
Amy, saying that teaches knitting is like saying Michael Phelps likes to go swimming.
You're right. So she started from scratch, basically, in our world and has built this unbelievable business. And again, Amy's sat at this table with me, and she's just a star in our community. So the question that she asked for one of her people is, when is the best time to share your product or offer within the pre-launch sequence, or the PLC sequence? PLC is pre-launch content. That's just one of our acronyms. And so generally, it's going to be either at the end of your third piece of pre-launch content or as your fourth piece of content. So it can, but it's basically you deliver first you establish the opportunity in the first piece of content, and then you start talking to the transformation and which is like how someone's life. So opportunity is how someone's life could change if they quit smoking, or if they learn to speak a second language, or if they met the love of their life, or if they learn to hit the golf ball 20 yards further. What's that opportunity look like? And then how will that actually transform their lives in all the ways? Because hitting a golf ball 20 yards further it's not just the physical act of hitting that ball further, but what does that mean to your confidence, to how much you enjoy the game, to how much you get to brag to your buddies after the round is over, after the golf round is over. It's like, what is the sum total of that transformation? And then from there, you move into ownership and getting them to take ownership of who they will become if they learn that second language, or if they have a meditation practice, or if they become an amazing parent. And in that ownership place, that's where you can start speaking to the enrollment, to getting them to enroll in that future self and also enroll with you in your product. And, I went into this in lesson 1. I went pretty deep in lesson 1. So definitely be sure to go back and check that if any of this is like going over your head. But yeah, that's where it would come in that sequence.
Nice. This is a good one. This is Cecilia Hilkes asking
Another star.
another star who's been here as well. Hey, Cecilia. Cecilia's saying, someone asked me. So Cecilia's just pretty advanced. So she's passing along this question as well, saying, someone asked me, what if someone is already teaching what I want to teach? Awesome. That's great, because that means that people want to buy it. Like if if somebody already has successful business, and if somebody already has a successful business doing what you want to be doing, great. That means that there's a demand for it. The scary thing is if you look and you see literally nobody making a living offering the thing that you're interested in, that's a red flag. But the reality is it's just like anything. Like if you want to learn something, then you're going to want to learn from people who are like you. Like if someone else is already selling what you're doing, great. They're teaching how to do it their way. And they're going to appeal to the people who are like them and who like their approach. Teach it your way.
Yeah.
Like we've got two, I don't know if they're up on the case study page right now, but they will be here shortly. We've got two people who've had great success with teaching surface pattern design. And so surface pattern design is like if you were to like a pattern on a blanket, like somebody designed that pattern and then they licensed that pattern to be on that blanket. So we have two different stars who we love, who are both in that market. One of them is, I think, about 70 years old. And she roughly 60, 70, something like that.
Let's say 65.
65, 70, something like that.
That counts. There's a difference between.
Totally. And she's teaching, she's teaching people like her, people who are in her stage of life, people who just connect with her approach, and she's killing it.
She literally calls them the gray hair brigade. That's yeah.
And is doing multi six-figure launches. And then we've got another person in our community who's like a 30-year-old woman who looks completely different, has completely different energy, is also doing multi six-figure launches with surface pattern design. They're both speaking to totally different audiences. If you have the 60-year-old person that they just, they are retiring and they're looking for something new to be doing or looking for kind of a side income stream, like who are they going to want to learn from? I don't know, but there's a good chance that one of those messages is going to appeal more strongly to them than the other one, right? And the same thing if you've got the college kid who's looking for a side income, probably different appeal, right?
Yeah. I mean, this makes intuitive sense if you think back, like when you were in school, elementary, or like think back to like maybe high school, or at least that's what we call here in the US. And there's some teachers that you really liked. I mean, like Spanish. Like I had a Spanish teacher who was absolutely just the worst. He was it was a waste of 4 years of my time. Whereas Dan, I know, had a Spanish teacher who was freaking awesome. They were teaching the same thing, but some teachers you resonate with and some you don't. And it's the same thing with an online business. There's just no difference.
Yeah. Or if you think about like literally any passion or interest that you have, like who do you learn from? Who do you get your advice from? If you're browsing YouTube to look at a video, what makes you choose, I'm going to watch person A instead of person B? What makes you follow person A instead of person B on Instagram? Is it that they're the only person out there speaking about it? No. They're just the person who you resonate with the most, who you like their approach the most.
Yeah. So in your job and your business is just put yourself out there and your personality so those people find you that resonate with you.
Mhm.
So, Dan, there's a couple quick questions. Does PLF also work for launching a membership, i.e. a long-term commitment with versus a course, which is a limited duration? So
Oh,
product launch formula, PLF,
essential.
this was literally built to sell memberships. That's how the first 8 years that I built this and refined it, the only thing I was selling was a membership. So you would be crazy to do anything besides PLF if you're starting a membership, because most memberships, a big part of it is community. And when it's a lot easier to have a community if you bring a bunch of people in, and the launch is how you do that. So you'd be crazy to do anything else. And then there's another question. I'm organizing an online summit in October, and on the back of it, I will invite, after all the participants, after the summit, invite them to a webinar where I'll open cart for my high ticket offer. How can I apply your launch? It's just 100% applicable. So basically that webinar where you make your offer for your high ticket, that's the start of your open cart. So everything you do in your pre-launch will be to get the most people to show up for that live webinar. Then you make your offer on that webinar. And then the 4 or 5 or 6 days after that is your follow-up open cart. So it will 100% apply.
Awesome. This is kind of a funny one. It seems that Tony Robbins has learned the PLF method. You comment on that?
Literally, I taught it to him in person. So Tony is someone who I first learned of him on the infomercial back in the 90s. I bought his Personal Power 2. It made an incredible difference in my life. And then it was about 2008 or 2009. He asked me to come out along with a few friends of mine, Mike Filsay, Mike Koenigs, Frank Kern, to come out and meet with him and show him how like the internet worked, because he was having a hard time going from infomercials to internet. So we went out and we sat around a table, sort of like this table, and he just for like 3 hours grilled us on it. Ended up then was so enthralled, he ended up asking me and the others to, like, if he could interview us and release that. It was released as one of his products called the New Money Masters. And in this whole process, I got to know Tony, which was an amazing gift to my life, because he's the guy, he changed my life, and I got to tell him that story personally. And I never forget. I'm like, Tony, you probably hear this story, it's a lot, but let me tell you about what my life was like before and what it's like now after I bought your product, because nothing was going on in my life. I was a stay-at-home dad. I hadn't made a penny in 6 years or whatever when I bought your product. I spent almost all the money I had on your product. And Tony looked at me, he's like, Jeff, I never get sick of hearing stories like that. And so I personally never get sick of hearing those stories when people share them with me. So in any case, yeah, Tony knows he's done a few launches because he learned how to do them from me. So yeah, there you go. Along that line, I was just thinking, so a few conversations, I've had three conversations, two of them over Zoom and one like over in our community. Product Launch Formula runs with the community. And one of them was with Ollie Richards. And I got to meet him. I was at a mastermind a couple of weeks ago, and I was in Nashville, and he comes up to me. I had no idea who he was. He comes up and, there's like 50 of us in the room. So we're just doing like a meet and greet. And this is, again, I'm an introvert, so I'm sort of in the corner, but he comes walking up to me and, hey, I'm Ollie. And I'm like, hey, I'm Jeff. He's like, oh, I know who you are. And I'm like, yeah, what? He's like, yeah, like 10 years ago, I bought your program. And I had a blog. I had a small list. I had a blog. But I'd never sold anything. I'd made a few dollars online from affiliate products, but I was scared to sell. I was terrified of selling. I didn't know how to sell, but I took your program. I did a launch. I made $2,000 in that launch. And it was a seed launch. And in fact, I was talking to Ollie this morning. We were catching up because we're getting to be friends now. And he's like, I was scared to sell, but you took me through the process, you broke it down, you gave me the coaching to get me over that fear. And then once I started working with these people in that seed launch, you can set it up how you want, but often you are on a Zoom or something with them. And he's like, all of a sudden, these aren't just some distant people, distant names. All of a sudden I found this empathy for them, this connection with them. And long story short, and this isn't an income claim, and everyone's story and results will differ, and most people don't do anything, but he's sold tens of millions of dollars since then. He's sold like 1.5 million books, of his nonfiction books, based off of that first launch that did $2,000. So it's such a blessed world that I get to meet these people and hear these stories. But what I'm saying is, when I met Tony, I'm like, let me tell you my story. And then now I get to meet Ollie and he tells me his story, but now people will meet him. He teaches language learning. People get to share their stories with him. And when you lean into this and do this work, you're going to have that moment. If you just follow the formula and launch and get those clients, you're going to be able to make that impact. And I don't want to, the impact, it's also about the money and the lifestyle and all the other things, but man, hearing those stories firsthand, there's just nothing like it.
How about this? This one's from Mel, but I've seen a bunch of this coming through. Get a bunch of people asking, one, is it possible to launch if you don't have a social media following? If you don't have a social media presence, is social media required to launch? Two, we've seen this, like, it seems like PLF is made to work for Facebook and Instagram. Does it work on LinkedIn? And so we're getting a lot of questions about social media. Do you need it? How do you use it? Blah, 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 blah. So what can you talk about that?
Yeah, you don't need to do social, but social is a great thing to use. It's a great tool. It's an amazing tool, and it's better in some markets than in other markets. And LinkedIn is the thing to use for certain markets. But if you're doing knitting, it's probably not the best market. You should be on Insta, you should be on Pinterest. But if you're teaching professionals how to organize their practices or something like that, yeah, LinkedIn, absolutely. And it absolutely works. At the core of this is you build an audience, and hopefully you take them onto an email list, and then you have those people, and then you get in a conversation with them and you deliver a product, you deliver an offer that they really, really want, and they buy from you. And that's what this is about. Whether you gather that audience on social or which social platform, it's enormously flexible.
Right.
I'm not super active on social. You may have noticed. I'm most active on YouTube, but I'm not terribly active on Instagram. I'm active to the level of I have to be, because I have to know the tool so I can teach people about it. But it's like, it's not something I do. Facebook, I literally don't even have a personal Facebook account because Facebook just one day decided I shouldn't have one and they shut my account down. Someone tried to hack it and they just shut the account down. I can't get it back. So I have a business account, but it's not something I do. So again, enormous flexibility. You don't have to do social, but it's a great place to find for many markets, for most markets, it's a great place to find your people.
Yeah. And I just want to make one distinction here. There's tactics, which would be like publishing reels to grow an audience. And then there's strategy. Product launch formula falls under the strategy. Like, just point out that this is a formula that Jeff originally developed, released. Like, the first version of product launch formula was released in 2005. Like, there was no Instagram in 2005.
No
Like,
Facebook.
no Facebook in 2005. The same core strategy was powering $1 million launches in 2005 and powering $1 million launches in 2025. It's the core strategy that's important. And especially here in this Launch Masterclass, we really focus on that core strategy. So step one in that core strategy is to build an audience. Some people are at a great position where they can check that box and move on because they've already done that. But if you're sitting here and you haven't built that audience yet, okay, fine. That's going to be a step that you're going to want to take. And you can build an audience. Social is a great place to build an audience. It's also not required to build an audience. But the important thing here is focus on the core fundamental strategy here. Like, in our full product launch formula coaching program, we talk through the strategy, we talk through the tactics, talk through all the different stuff. But I don't know. I think that's one of the things that sets PLF apart in my mind. This isn't something that just, got developed 6 months ago because it takes advantage of the latest algorithm change that Instagram had, and it's only going to work for 5 months until they change the algorithm again, and then you got to learn something new. Like, this is the core strategy, and there's so many ways that you can apply it.
Here's a good one, Dan. It's from Michelle. Hey guys, my program is a scalable hybrid group program. Starts with curriculum and community for 6 months, which moves to an optional membership model following the initial commitment. I plan to put in an evergreen. This is awesome. Love what you're doing, Michelle. Then the question is, I'm starting a new Instagram. So with a new audience, what's the best launch method for the first launch and then ongoing? Is a different launch type suggested? So tomorrow in lesson 2, here we go. High tech. Lesson 2 tomorrow. We'll talk about the 3 types of launches. And Michelle, for you, the internal launch is going to be the way to go. So we've talked about the seed launch a bunch here. The internal launch is a launch just to your audience. And frankly, I think it's my favorite type of launch. It's just like the most elegant launch. I know you can tell I'm a marketing nerd when I talk about launches being elegant, but the internal launch can be so elegant. And so absolutely, you'd bring them from Insta, hopefully onto your email list, and then you would do the launch. You would be posting about the launch on Insta, of course, but you're trying to drive them to your email list. And then you'll do a classic sideways sales letter launch. And then you can basically reuse that launch because you'll continually refresh your audience as you continue to build your audience on Insta. And so there's no reason you can't do that same launch 2 times a year, 3 times a year. You might change up your opt-in page a little bit. If you want, you can even change the offer a little bit by changing maybe the bonus structure or something like that. But you can basically lather, rinse, repeat on that internal launch as you recharge and refill your list with new leads. Yeah, and just FYI, if some of that went over your head, one thing you got to know is right now, I think we're about 18,000 people have joined us for this masterclass, and we're trending
over 20 now.
Oh, to over 20. So
yeah.
By the time we get to
Over
PLC 3, we're probably going to be at 30,000. And there's a lot of people that are just starting out. And there's also a bunch of people with 6-figure businesses, 7-figure businesses. that have been in business for a long time. So we do have this campus that it's a big tent. We've got a lot of people, but we also have the team built so we can serve you no matter, meet you where you're at. So we love having super advanced people like Michelle come in. But I love serving people that are just starting out, because I can remember when I was just starting out and I was absolutely desperate.
Nice. Let's see. Here's a quick one. Rebecca's asking, how do you get email addresses from Insta followers? Honestly, Seed Launch. I would check out Seed Launch lesson. But essentially, what you're gonna do, and actually even here, like, got another one here from Chris. Chris is asking, what do you think about starting a Substack newsletter to attract like-minded folks? Awesome. I love the idea. The reason why we promote an email list so hard is that an email list is something that is not on anyone else's platform. You can't get your account shut down. You're not dependent on some other business doing well. Like, if Substack just goes away, then do your people just go away? You know, if Instagram decides suddenly that you should be banned, or that if Instagram just goes out of business or decides that it's going to be a totally different type of app, like, then you lose your audience. Email's not like that. It's really the only one out there that you have some amount of ownership over. If you have people's email address, you can send them emails. That's why we promote that so hard. We push people so hard for that. But realistically, growing an audience wherever you can grow an audience is a great thing. Wherever people are hanging out, wherever your people are hanging out, wherever they're going to be paying attention to you is great. And so one of the first steps in your seed launch process is you're going to make an offer to teach something to your people. And you would just ask for their email address in order to sign up for that. Very, very simple.
So Dan, I think you want to just talk, I mean, right, just on a tactical, yes, to everything Dan said, absolutely everything. Email's the thing you can control that no one can take from you. And specifically, that question was about Insta. I mean, we probably driven 1,000 leads from Insta in the last few days with ManyChat, right? You know, when you all know this, when you're on Instagram and you're saying, put the word whatever, coffee, down in the chat, DM me with that. That's adding people to an email list. So on our Insta, we said, yeah, just type the word launch down below if you want to be part of the Launch Masterclass. That adds people to our list. Right? So yeah, just on a super tactical way. And then Dan, I see one I just have to go for. Tom asked, this is a great question. Does having a large audience allow you to bypass some of the strategies you have outlined? I have 3 million followers and I've sold 80,000 copies of my book by simply talking about my book on a frequent basis. Tom, congratulations. 3 million followers, awesome. Way more than I've got. 80,000 books, nowhere near as many books as I've sold. So your audience is about 20 times bigger than me, and I've sold like 5 times more books than you have. I'm not bragging, I'm not being a jerk here, but you're insane if you don't use these strategies. You know what? Taylor Swift. Let me hear from all the Swifties out there. Taylor Swift is about to release her 12th album. She just did the biggest tour ever in the history of tours. And she could just put the album out there and not say a thing or not do a thing. But what is she doing right now? She's doing a launch. She just went on her boyfriend's podcast, and they got like 15 million views of that podcast on YouTube in the first like 24 hours, not to mention how many listens it got in every other podcast app. And what did she do? She's doing a pre-launch for her new album. She doesn't have to do that. She could just, release it one day. It's available on iTunes or whatever. Is iTunes still a thing anymore? Am I showing my age?
It's Apple Music now, but yeah.
Apple Music. I mean, she could just release it, or Spotify or whatever, but no, she's doing a launch. So Tom, you said you've got an app coming out. If you just did this strategies, you will have 10 times the results of just letting it trickle out. And again, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, Tom. The fact that you've built that audience, you owe it to them. You owe it to yourself to actually use these strategies and really get it out there in a big way.
And I've seen this come up a few other different places. Like Susan's asking, is it possible to do a launch for paintings that run in the range of $2,000 to $16,000? Like, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I would say higher priced art is, I'd say the higher priced you go, the more it's a necessity to do. So we're
Yeah,
seeing,
Dan, you know what the difference is between selling really, really high-end art and what we do? Like maybe most of our people are selling course or memberships. You know what the difference between those two things are?
what's that?
Absolutely nothing.
I love
Absolutely,
it.
like if you look at the absolute best artists, and not the best artists, but the artists who sell at the biggest premiums, they are amazing direct marketers. And so this it absolutely works. One of our one of the sadly we lost her way too young. We lost her to cancer. One of my favorite PLF owners of all time was Mary Gilkerson, and she both taught art, but she also sold paintings in this exact price range. I think she was up near 20,000 for her larger paintings. And I love Mary because she was so passionate about art and about how artists need to be effective in marketing and selling their art. Because when you're an artist, it's not like when you become an artist, I think sometimes people they feel like they have to take a vow of poverty. No, you don't. But you have to learn how to sell your art. And Product Launch Formula is an amazing way to do it. Mary would sell out her. What she would do is she would do a launch for a collection, a limited collection. And maybe there was 18 pieces in this collection, and she would, her pre-launch would be about the making of it, about what it meant to her, about the work that went into it, but also about what it was like to become someone who collects original art, how that could transform your life. And then she would just boom, opening cart and sell out the whole collection. So it absolutely can do this.
100%. Like, are you guys watching? Are you familiar with Antelope Canyon? Beautiful, spectacular place. Slot canyons, super, super narrow slot canyons. Like canyons that are only,
You
whatever,
see it on
10 feet
Instagram all the
apart,
time. It's
something like that. Yeah, you see it all the time. Yeah. Antelope Canyon, Utah. It's gorgeous. It's really awesome. So I have some friends who went to Antelope Canyon recently. They're not photographers. They just, like one friend, she had her phone and took a couple pictures in there. They look great. They look beautiful. Put them on social media, got some likes. Awesome. Now, there's a photo that sold from Antelope Canyon, like, I don't know what, 4 or 5 years ago? $4 million. Is it that much better than Katie's photo? From an artistic perspective, like, you know what? Yeah, it is a better photo for sure. Would your average person consider it $4 million better? Uh, but it doesn't matter because there was the story and the sequence and the strategy behind that photo that made it worth $4 million to somebody.
Mm.
That was the difference there.
Yeah.
So, I will say this. So Susan's asking about artists and painters. I saw James the filmmaker, hoping to launch a kids series. I've seen I'm trying to scroll through. There's so many here. Rebecca's asking art commissions. We're getting a lot of folks asking about, say, if they're an artist or an author or selling a physical product or, launching, something like that. I will say it's the strategy. It's the strategy behind turning what you're doing into an event. So I will say that a lot of our teaching, because it's a launch masterclass, right? Like Jeff said, we've got I think over 21,000 people signed up so far. We're going to get a lot more folks signing up. The vast majority of people who are coming in, they're looking to launch what we call a knowledge product. So they're creating a course, something like that. So sometimes that might be the default examples that we use a lot of times during this launch masterclass. because we've only got so much time. We're trying to reach and trying to help as many people as possible. The core strategies absolutely work and are essential if you are an artist or an author or launching a physical product, anything like that. I will say, might need to approach the videos with a little bit of a creative point of view, a little bit of that, like, how can I make this, how do I make this work for me? It's the same strategy. The implementation might take a couple little tweaks. In our full coaching program, we go deep into, those exact differences. But for the most part, there's no real difference in the strategy. There's just maybe a little bit of difference in how you speak about it.
Yeah. Here's one from Richard. I'm building an online school that teaches the mystic arts and occult sciences through a membership model with an exclusive curriculum. The results I offer are intangible, deep spiritual growth, empowerment, personal transformation. With my first course finished and my second nearly complete, what's the strongest value proposition I can use to attract and convert my ideal customer avatar? And which launch should I use? It's probably, without knowing more about your audience, let's see, the first course finished, second nearly complete. You could probably an internal launch. You could do it with element. So Richard, it sounds like you're pretty advanced. You could use elements of the seed launch to round it out, to add live elements to the teaching. This is the deal, is that this is mystical arts and occult sciences, but probably about 40% of our PLF owners, the people in our community that have had success, are doing something that's like this, that's intangible. It could be that you're helping them achieve peace or empowerment. And, like for me, I'm doing what they call dimes to dollars. Like you give me dimes and then you make dollars because I'm teaching you how to build a business. And that's great. But a lot of people are teaching, how to get your dog to come when they're called. That's also very tangible. For you, Richard, it's less tangible, but there's a lot of people selling less tangible stuff. I mean, think about it. Tony Robbins, we were talking about earlier. Tony Robbins is mostly selling intangible stuff, right? Personal power. Well, that's not super tangible, but he still does pretty darn well. So I personally think this whole process, the PLF process, gives you it gives you the space to make that intangible a lot more tangible.
I like this. Sandra says, selling intangibles, life insurance, a piece of paper that gives some money to someone else when you're dead. No, you're giving stability and security to your family. And, like huge tangible thing. This is an interesting one. Megan's. Does PLF work with face-to-face workshop group, like live events? Yeah, absolutely. First of all, similar to memberships, like you actually have to put people into that event. And so a launch is I would say one of the most popular and most effective ways of actually filling your room and making sure you have a full room. And then actually, spoiler alert, but the best events that work the best actually follow the 3PLC format in the event itself. That's kind of advanced because you're doing it all in person and, in the flow, but it's also why a lot of events are 3-day events, because it's PLC 1, 2, 3.
100%. The great thing about events, whether they're in person or virtual, is that they're a moment in time.
Yeah.
So
built-in deadline.
And a deadline is incredibly important to an offer. Just like this is a moment in time, right? We are live here. This is a Launch Masterclass. I did it once a year, do it once a year. If you don't want to go through it now, you can go through it. We'll probably do another one next August. We did one last August. So it's a moment in time. We're going to have lesson 3, again, show up. It's going to be awesome. Lesson 3 will be a little fancier. We'll go a little fancy pants with lesson 3. Well, cameras and lights and stuff like that. But, we're going to be going all out, but it's a moment in time. You got to show up live, right? And then next week, did I tell you about this? It's bonus week. You got to show up. It's a moment in time. There's a power in that. And that's the great thing about live events.
Awesome. Let's see. Looking through. There's two that go together, but in sort of an interesting way. So first, Rob's asking, so it's one of the very first questions we got. It's an interesting question. What's the biggest difference, in your opinion, between PLF in 2025 and PLF in earlier years? And then I have another one, and I'm gonna miss the name because I'm gonna have to do it from memory because I can't find it right now. But it's, will a launch work in a very saturated market?
Okay, two good
And
ones.
I think to me, those two go together.
Really? Okay. I didn't
Well,
know.
I'll say to me, I'll say that a launch for a saturated market, I'd say a launch becomes ever more necessary because it's how you stand out from the crowd. And I would say that to me, aside from all the, I mean, sure, I'm for sure there's all the tactical and implementation reasons that PLF is different. Like I know once upon a time you would have, maybe used teleseminars in some of your delivery for a product before. You're probably not doing that anymore. But to me, I think it's becoming ever more about that, about standing out from the noise.
Yeah, you have to. It's like the reality is, and there's also, I think a question that goes along with these is, it's just a question earlier about saturation. I want to go in this market, but it's saturated. Well, you know how many people are teaching how to build a business online? That's the business I'm in. There's probably about like 150 million people teaching it. It's like feels like anyone who's learned that online business exists, all of a sudden is like an expert in teaching it. And especially like if they can like find a fancy car to stand in front of to imply it's theirs, or a big home, man, it's hilarious how everyone's an expert. But in this current environment, it's 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 more critical than ever to have a launch that allows you to stand out from the noise. And it's more important than ever to actually like be a human, because there's so much just garbage AI stuff, content being put out. And you know what? I use AI pretty much every day, but it's useful for some things, but people are just putting out just crazy amounts of content, and it all looks and feels the same. So that's why it's so easy when you put your humanness into it, the special sauce of you and your experience. And this goes back to that question earlier of like, how do I, if there's other people in the market, you bring you and your energy and your authenticity. I hesitate using that word because it's so overused, but it's so important. Your authenticity. No one can be you. And so, but you need to bring you, and you need to bring it in an effective way. And not all of us are amazing natural marketers or amazing natural salespeople. I'm not. I'm someone I got good at marketing pretty early on, but I wasn't great at sales. It's two different things. Eventually got pretty good at it. But if you're not a natural born closer or a natural born marketer, that's why you need this formula. So you can present yourself with authenticity and people can see you and you can stand out. So yeah, and I think the question was from Rob about what's new this year versus last year. The question I would ask Rob is like, are you a PLF owner and have you been doing launches for years? And then I think what's new is is a relevant question. But for everyone else who's just coming into the world, it's like this latest PLF is what's working now. So just use it. Don't worry about what's changed. Just do the damn thing because it works.
Love it. Love it. This is a funny one. Can a challenge replace a video series? What's pretty funny is if you look at a challenge is a launch. It just, just like how, you go back 10 years and everyone's launch was, the something something workshop. And then we decided like, hey, let's call our thing the Launch Masterclass. That's going to be a different, different format. We'll call it the Launch Masterclass. And then like starting the next year, it seemed like everybody's free thing was a masterclass. And then it was like, hey, let's call these things challenges. Like it's
Yeah, I'm gonna try to say this without any ego, but ego might come out. Like if you've seen someone launch in a big way, they've either learned from me or they learned from someone that learned from me. And that's just because I've been doing this for 20 years. So yeah, challenge is just a launch with a different name. What is a challenge? You bring people through a sequence and then you make them an offer. It's designed right off of Product Launch Formula.
Love it. Love it. Okay, let's see. How about Atusa? I believe in connecting with your clients. How do you transition from that genuine connection to now saying, here's the cost you need to pay for future advice and actually selling the product?
There is the answer is in the question. It's like you don't ask that question. I mean, you should, that connection, just carry, it's the same connection. It's just, hey, do you want to go deeper? This has been an amazing experience. I'm going to say this to you coming up in a few days. I'm going to say, hey, this has been an amazing masterclass. I've loved it. It's been a lot of hard work, been some sleepless nights, but I've loved doing this. I love getting so many of us together. And I know there's some of you that are ready to go deeper. And if you want to, let me tell you about how this works. If you want to go deeper with me and my team and join us in Product Launch Formula, the best product launch formula ever, you're going to get coaching for a full year of coaching calls. You'll get the entire course, and you'll get this another amazing thing that we have. It's brand new, never been offered, but it's like, if you want to go deeper, this is what it is. And this is what the investment is. And I'd love I'd love to work with you. My team, we want to work with you. We want to see what you launch. We want you to be one of our case studies next year. So there's no there's no change there. And if you do this right, there's no change. It's not like you lose connection, you lose intimacy. It's not like they hate you because you want money now. You're just their guide, right? Dan talks about this a lot. You're their guide. And in your pre-launch, actually, I should let you talk about this, Dan. But there is no loss of connection. It's not like they hate you. If you want to go deeper, it's time to step into who you can become. And the way you do that is, here's this order form.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's not bad. You're not evil. You're not wrong. It's just, this is the next step. And this is so important. I want you to get this. You don't have to be a master salesperson, and you don't have to be creepy. The power is in this process. You follow the formula, you follow the process, and it sets you up just to build value and build value. And if they want even more value, then they step forward and they join you and buy whatever you're selling. And Dan, you want to just talk a little bit about that idea of being a guide?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one really important thing here is that during, like, you believe in, like you say, you believe in connection. Well, we do too. That's the core of this launch formula, to be honest. And the reality is that there's a lot of people who you're going to reach with your launch who are not going to go deeper with you. Like, we're not going to have, like, in a few days, we're going to open up registration. We're going to let people sign up for the Product Launch Formula coaching program where we're going to go deep on all this stuff with them. We're not going to have 35,000 people buy that, but that's okay. Like, I love the fact that we are going to have those 35,000 people or so. They're going to be going through this free launch masterclass. And what we're doing here is we're giving as much really great teaching about how to launch as possible. Like, that is right now, that is essentially the strategy that we are using to make sales, eventually to make sales.
The nefarious strategy.
What was that?
The nefarious strategy. We'll just
Yeah,
give them
the
so
nefarious
much.
strategy is we're going to try to teach you as much as we can so that you understand it and you realize the power of it and that you could go do it before we ever make any kind of offer. We're showing how good it is by teaching as much of it as we can. And so, like, yeah, there's going to be a ton of people. There are going to be people who just go through this free launch training and they say, cool, got it. I get it. I like it. And I'm going to go do it. And they're not going to buy anything from us. And they're going to go do a launch and they're going to have success. We see it every single year. Probably about a month or two from now, we're going to start getting the emails of people who said, I went through the free Launch Masterclass. I didn't buy anything, but I did this and thank you. And you know what? That's freaking awesome. Like, great. What better word of mouth, like what better, marketing for us to put out into the world is for people to go and have success with this free stuff. Like, it's freaking awesome. And then usually they come back and want to actually buy something. So like, wow, what would it be like if I actually joined you and actually learned more about it, right? So it's like during this pre-launch part, that's what you're doing. You're speaking to people like they're going to do it themselves. And you're giving them as much information as possible, which is also considering that, people have lives. There's only so much that people will, like, if we literally just info dumped, like, could we just dump 40 hours of training on you to go through this week? Like, yeah, theoretically we could, but no one's going to go through that. Like, we're not trying to give people a second job here. Like, so we're giving information that's good, it's high quality, that's actionable. And then when it comes time to make the sale, our offer is to be your guide. And so that's what you'll do. So during your pre-launch, you connect, you teach, you give them as much free stuff as you can. And then your offer is just to be their guide, for you to personally guide them in going deeper and learning more.
So Dan, I love that. What do you guys, does Dan know what he's talking about? You learn a little bit from Dan here. I mean, I just love that you're basically, initially you're guiding them like they're going to do it themselves. And then at the end, you're like, or you can hire me because I've done this a few times. Yeah. So Dan, I was thinking about doing something while you were speaking. I just had this, I want to try something I've never done before. I've done a few of these trainings, a few live calls, but we're an hour and 25 minutes in. I saw someone saying, I was part of a launch earlier today, but I left it. I went cold because it was just this hard pitch. I mean, this isn't the hard pitch land, but I have this idea. So we're going to do something. This is a preview. I did not plan to do this, but I'm going to, because I love testing ideas out. So in the last year, Dan and I have done a bunch of very high-end workshops. Some of them we charged $14,000. Some of them we charged $5,000, and the $5,000 were a little bigger. And we worked with people where we'd be in a room and we'd actually look at their launches and we would go through their launches and give them feedback. And then everyone could watch us. And it was the most insanely amazing learning environment that I think when you get to see like one example after another and see us, we have the pattern recognition. We've done this with hundreds of launches, and we have that pattern recognition where we can recognize just like that, what's wrong, how something could be improved, how it could be better, and over. And then when people see that, you see someone else make a mistake, and you're okay, I learned. And then you see like 6 people make that mistake, and all of a sudden you, the viewer, you start to get that pattern recognition as well. And I think it's like the best learning environment ever. And so we went through this several times in the last year, and it was face to face. And then we went through this recently virtually. And I was like, this is so cool. And in Product Launch Formula, the coaching program, there's the online course portion. There's the custom built AI, Launchy AI. There's a year of coaching calls. But I'm like, how can we build in that piece where people can where we'll do some real-time coaching on real assets, and people can get that pattern recognition. They can maybe even they get their launch broken down, but no matter what, they get to see around the absolute most important pieces of the launch. They can build that pattern recognition. And so what we decided to do was offer a special bonus. It's going to be for this Launch Masterclass only, where Dan and I will do 4 of these calls, where we'll collect the homework, your work, the people going through the program, their work ahead of time, and then we'll get on these calls and we'll just start riffing through them and giving feedback and showing how things could be better, what's working and what could be better, and where the landmines are, where are the traps. And I think that this part of the offer, in my opinion, is going to be, I think the value is $5,000 of just these 4 calls that we're going to do. It's just going to be freaking amazingly awesome. And we're still even working on the name of it, and I'm working on the words I'm going to use to share this. And I'm also trying to figure out how to share the fact that this we're calling it like the working name. It's a launch implementation deep dive, and it's going to be this series of 4 calls. It's workshop. It's like we're doing here, except for where we're actually going through people's work and saying, oh, flip the headline and the subhead, or don't put a video there, or do this instead of a video, or do a live broadcast here, or do the, or this is where this offer is going to fall apart, or this price, I wouldn't do that price. And we're going to work through that. And what do you guys think? Is that like something that, when I say it's the best PLF ever, does that seem like it'd be a great learning environment? And it's going to be like, we'll give you like, maybe 10, 12 days to go get to dive into PLF. And then we're going to start doing these calls. I mean, I wasn't kidding when, do PLF owners get this bonus? Well, we always take care of our own PLF owners. But it's like, how am I going to even talk about this? And there's so much else you get as part of PLF. And yeah, I'm bummed.
I think that it's a good sign. It's a good sign that your offer is strong when you have to leave things out, because if you just talked about everything that people got, that it would just go on so long.
Right. I mean, that's literally the problem. It's like this. I just talked about it for 10 minutes here, but I can't talk about it for 10 minutes plus all the other stuff. It's going to take me figuring out how to say that all. Someone came by, someone said, what's a PLF owner?
Someone who owns PLF.
Yeah. So once someone joins PLF, they become a PLF owner. We capitalize O. Yep. And then they're sort of with us. We have a rule. We always take care of our PLF owners. So like, you'll get, you join PLF, you get PLF for a full year of coaching calls, full year of community, full year of our Launchy AI. But then like after the year, you can basically upgrade for like an incredibly low price each year. So we have people that are upgrading, will upgrade this year that initially bought in 2005, 20 years ago. So we always take care of you once you're a PLF owner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So Roland, this
I know we should have flipped comments publicly. Yeah, there's some good ones in here.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped about this. Like I said, here we go. Best PLF ever. We've never had an offer like this. And like the reason I want to do this is because, like I said, now it's a moment in time. It really is. I think the people who accelerate now, whether you've already got a business or whether you're just starting out, the people who accelerate now will be paid off at a higher level, at a greater level going forward. Lorna said, love how you're teaching here to seed the offer. Yeah, I mean, we always put together a tremendous offer, and that's a critical part of doing a launch, is putting together a great offer. And we've been doing it for 20 years. So learned a few things about how to create a great offer, but never done anything like this. Never done anything like this. And here's the other thing is, it's not going to just be Dan and I. There's going to be 4 other coaches on with us so that we can get to the most people as we go through that process.
Oh yeah.
And I think sales is enthusiasm transferred. It's you transferring your enthusiasm to your client, to your prospects. And it's the enthusiasm for what's going to happen in their life. And I've just got so much enthusiasm right now, I can barely contain myself, because we just have hatched this plan. And it's like, this thing, it's just going to rock.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Here's a couple different ones. Tara's asking, um, Tara's talking about some coaching to help breastfeeding moms. Unsure how this would work in her emails. So really, this is I think this is a great opportunity for you. This is just going to be classic PLF, I think, for the most part. I go back and really watch that sideways sales letter lesson, and then everything's coming up tomorrow in lesson 2. But really the kind of the standard format is, first you talk about the opportunity. So the opportunity is going to be the opportunity that awaits your dream client to achieve their dream. So it's whatever they're looking for, whether they're looking to, stop something that's bad that's happening to them, or they're looking to get something that they want. It's the opportunity for that. So your first part is the opportunity. The second part is the transformation. That's really where you start to show them. You start to kind of equip them with the tools. You start to show them, how that opportunity can really become real. And then you make your offer, which is where you offer to be their guide. So pretty classic PLF here.
Yeah.
Here's one from Ford. Ford says, I am a writing and media consultant. How do I figure out what my product is? What would I be launching as someone who is providing a service? So there's a couple ways you go about this, but honestly, one of the best things that you can do is that if you successfully do this already, then there are people out there who would love to know how to do what you're doing. And so I'm not saying that you would just abandon your business and stop doing this, but it can be such a great for anyone who's a coach or a service provider. Honestly, this works really well for artists, authors, anyone with physical product as well, is that if you have a skill, something that you do well, there are people who want to learn that skill. And so this can be an incredible way to add just another element to your existing business, where not only are you doing your thing, but you're also teaching people how to do what you do. This would be a great one. We have an example. John Feely. This is it's one of my personal favorite case studies. I'm not sure why. I think I just love how John is he's just a very just plain spoken, straight shooting sort of guy. But he had a business where he was building sheds for people. He started it to be a side hustle, turned into his main business, makes a very good income, building a couple sheds a week for, quite several $1,000s each, has a great business. But what he realized is that, well, he can only build so many sheds in a week. But he's got this great business. He can teach, it's pretty easy to build a shed the way that he builds them. He can build them in a day or a day and a half or something. So what he did is he just started running these small workshops and launching these small workshops where he taught other guys how to build sheds, how he did it. He just teaches his business model to them, teaches them how to build a shed, how to build clients, and then how to make an actual business out of it. And now he still builds sheds. He likes it. He doesn't want to stop building sheds. But he also makes, a very significant side income on the side where he teaches other guys just how to do the same thing he does. It's super casual. It's on the side. He launches these workshops when he has time and wants to do them. And if he at any point wanted to walk away from his shed building entirely, totally could. It's great another way to, dimension to add to your business.
And then I just want to go another answer to that. And that, yeah, we've seen so many people do that, but another way you could do it, if you do work with one-on-one and you just want, like, I'm thinking about like someone I know who's a wealth advisor, great business, makes a great income, doesn't want to get out of that business, but would like an easier stream of clients coming in. And then what you do is you just take a part of what you do, your services, and you productize it. So like, it could be like, if you're a wealth manager, like what's like your onboarding process like, or what's your client your prospect narrowing process like? Maybe you'd have a meeting with them and you'd ask them about what where they're at, what their assets are like, what their goals are like. You could take any sliver of that and you turn that into, it could be a report, it could be a video, it could be a little video course, it could be a custom GPT, and you just take a little slice of your services and you turn it into a product. And then you could give that product away, or you could sell that product, but essentially that product becomes the beginning of your pre-launch. So maybe it's a free PDF or a free GPT. They get that thing, and now that's the start of your sequence. And then you have a sequence that follows that up, that drives them into becoming a client. I mean, if you think about it, what's the Launch Masterclass? It's a course on how to do a launch that will sell product launch formula coaching program and everything you get with it. So if you're a one-on-one provider like that, and you just want to drive more one-on-one clients, just take a piece of what you do, turn it into a product, and that becomes the pointy tip of your spear when it comes to landing new clients. That becomes the beginning of your launch.